another great night. Talk radio. We are here. Talk radio night. We're going to be discussing today's editorial. And I'm going to be just kind of developing some of it. And then having a little discussion about it. So let's get going. I'm going to be talking about 3 or 4 different topics today. I've been writing like this for many, many years, even before the advent of the internet, way before YouTube. I would write things like the essays that I do, the editorial. I'd make copies of it on the copy machine at work and give it to the guys. That's how this started. That's how this started. There was no internet when I started teaching this. Didn't even exist. I literally would type it on a typewriter and then make copies. Man, if anyone has those copies now, they are collector's items. Absolute collector's items. That picture is AI's version of me and the wizard that's usually up there. All right, we're going to talk. Let's get started here about the editorial. Let me just see if I got the right thing pulled up. Editorial number 1 for the day. And you might have read this already, but we can talk about it. What hurt wasn't the ending. It was the realization that I loved her more than she loved me. And I felt it slipping while I was standing there trying to make sense of it. We weren't casual. We traveled. Time was spent, money was spent, and many times that she said she would love to be my wife. Now that sentence right there, that keeps a man anchored for a long time, long after the tide goes out, especially if you kind of like the gal. Then came the slow fade. I didn't see her much. I didn't hear from her much. It ended up being a couple months of being ghosted. And of course, I had to do everything I could to keep from cyber stalking and just seeing what she's doing. Breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbing texts started to come in, just enough to keep the door cracked. And finally, the text that closed the door. Thank you for the hotels, the dinners, the vacation, the trips, but I didn't ask for that. I appreciate your effort. I don't know what else to do. I'm okay solo. I enjoyed having a friend. That stopped me in my tracks because it wasn't like I was wishful thinking. She was giving of herself, read between the lines there. But that's what she said. I liked having a friend. I guess that was more of a fuck buddy. Now, that was a soft goodbye. That was like a slow plunging dagger into the heart. And at that moment, I realized that reframed the entire connection. This is how I viewed it now. All of those experiences was something she received, but never participated in. She wanted the provision without being present. Effort without entitlement. She was off the hook. I know, but I didn't ask for all that stuff. Wow, I thought to myself. It was a quiet way of saying, you overinvested, but I never agreed to the terms that you were operating under. Alrighty, well, the history is this. I was a fuckboy. That was the reality. I was comfortable. I was detached. Sex without responsibility. And she felt the same way about me. But somewhere along the line, I unconsciously shifted from fuckboy to feelings boy. That's the danger zone. That transition only works when it's mirrored. It has to be reciprocated. She didn't want to be courted, claimed, or led anywhere. She wanted companionship without cost. She wanted companionship without responsibility. She wanted sex without obligation. And she wanted validation without it escalating in any way, unless it was on her terms. Of course, the occasional, hey stranger, or I'm lonely, or I miss you texts showed up later. But that always happens when the woman wants access to you without accountability. The part that most men miss is that she was a fuck girl too. She never transitioned to feelings girl. She never transitioned to feelings or feeling it internally. I did, she didn't. I was growing in feeling towards her and direction while she stayed comfortable in ambiguity. She loved the gray area, which only means one thing. I wasn't her first choice. And there were other men in her life. That imbalance can be lethal to the relationship. And that was my first real lesson in identifying genuine burning desire. I always talk about the genuine burning desire and understanding how non-negotiable that is. When it's there, when that desire is there, you don't question it. When it's not, you start explaining things, over-explaining things. Now, women later can rewrite history and say they felt used. In this case, it was closer to, remember the Bob Seger song, Night Moves? A lot of guys I know would die for the situation. I used her, she used me, but neither one cared. We were getting our share. And that was it. That was it. We were getting our share. The problem started when I wanted more and she didn't. She was always available for me. always made herself available, which made me kind of think, okay, she's growing towards me. What happened was I lost frame, and she didn't. She remained even. I was falling into the trap. I lost frame. And our friend Rollo Tomasi, I believe the first chapter in his book, bottom line, I loved her more than she loved me. I swore that that would never happen again. So, gentlemen, I pass these lessons on to you plainly without a romantic or nostalgic dressing. First one, you don't want to be remembered as a friend that she once liked and slept with. Never live in a gray area. Number two, having clarity protects you. You need to find clarity as soon as possible. That does not mean asking her, what are we? That is the most feminine question I've ever heard. Chicks say that. So what are we? A man doesn't ask that. Number three, never overgive without feedback. Because you can't buy love. Never overgive. Do you think that I talk about Fleming's Steakhouse just because I just pulled that out of thin air? That's why I said, stop treating girlfriends like a wife. Girlfriends do not get wife benefits, period. Special dinners, vacations are all for a beloved wife, not a girlfriend who can't even admit that you're in a relationship. Never substitute resources for leadership, because provision without direction is bribery. You can't bribe a woman into loving you. Never stay where a woman is comfortable but not invested, because comfort is cheap. Remember, nostalgia is a trap, and it keeps men loyal to ghosts. Think about that. There's going to be no loyalty to ghosts. Or let me say it the way that I classically say it. There will be no loyalty to ghosts. There's a massive difference between a woman loving you and a woman loving what you represent or provide. This bears repeating. There's a massive difference between a woman loving you and a woman loving what you represent or provide. If she can live without you emotionally, that's your first signal to step back and do an emotional cleanse before you continue to betray yourself further. That lesson cost me time, money, and pride. It also gave me clarity, and clarity is very expensive. It's worth every penny in the long run. That's editorial number 1. Hope you liked it. Number 2. You ready? You got to remember the origin of this stuff. I used to type this out with a typewriter. This was even before anyone had PCs or laptops. And then I used to make copies of it and give it to my guy friends. This one is called Take Your Lumps and Move On. Fine. Learn fast and keep walking. sitting around and licking your wounds, replaying texts, rereading memories. That's how men get stuck. Pain is tuition. Think about that. What do you pay tuition for? For learning experiences. Pain is tuition. Pain is the price that you pay to learn. But here's the thing. Pay the tuition once, learn the lesson, get the school credit for it, but never enroll in that school again. So let's get something straight. These hoes are not worth it. I love these hoes. D-E-E-Z. These hoes aren't worth it. Not your sleep, not your money, not your focus, and damn sure not your future. Too many men are bleeding time, cash, and emotional bandwidth on women who've done absolutely nothing to earn it. You're acting like a husband in a world where you are just a convenient option. And guess what, bro? That's on you. Stop giving girlfriends wife benefits. Stop funding a lifestyle, fixing problems, being her handyman, being her emotional tampon, letting her cry on your shoulder, playing therapist, Uber driver, and ATM. Don't do that for women who have not committed in any way to you. If a woman has access to you without any obligation, that's eventually going to create contempt and not gratitude. The more you give without structure, the less you're respected. Now, I'm not saying that everything needs to be transactional. It's like the guy that takes a girl out for a steak dinner on the first night, and then she gives him a hug. Well, that idiot, and then he's all frustrated, and he sends me a note. I said, dude, that's when you take her to Waffle House. You're not going to feel so bad about dropping $20 at Waffle House. But instead you spent $250 or $300 on a first date. You walk her to her car, she says thanks, and gives you a hug, and you expected more. The more that you give, the less that you are respected. And that's not a man being bitter. That's called pattern recognition. Remember, I urge you to be a pattern recognition expert. Now, being married is different. I was married once. I enjoyed being married. I enjoyed being a husband. I enjoyed being a father. That was a long time ago. But being married is different. Married means to invest, to love her, to protect her, to build with her, to care for her health, her peace, her future. That's the woman that gets your full provision and gets all of your heart. That's earned territory, my brother. You don't cut corners with a wife because she chose you and you chose her under God, law, and society. Think of it like this. Coffee is for closers. Steakhouses are for a beloved wife. You don't take prospects to Fleming's Steakhouse. Don't reward maybe. Never reward the maybes. Girlfriends get Waffle House. Simple, clean, honest, no illusions, no overreach, no pretending that this is something that it isn't. It's not cruelty, it's clarity. This is the second time we're mentioning clarity. Men get wrecked when they blur categories. When you treat dating like marriage, you train women to do nothing but take and leave. When you reserve your best for the woman who actually locks you in, you protect yourself and you honor the institution or the relationship. Remember, there's three entities There's you, her, and us. You want to protect you want to protect her, and you want to protect the us. You hurt us. When she hurts you, she's hurting us. So, gentlemen, take your lumps. Remember in the cartoons, they give somebody, Donald Duck would, I don't know, was it Donald Duck? How many lumps you want? Remember that? I guess it was like lumps of sugar. How many lumps would you like? You say 3, and then he'd get hit over the head with a big giant mallet 3 times. Take your lumps, tighten up, move forward with standards and a little bit of a backbone. The man who knows where the steakhouse is must also know where the Waffle House is. Editorial number 2. I'm saving the best for last. This one's called the pullback and how to deal with it. When she pulls back, understand this clearly. She's not going to a convent. When she breaks up with you, she's not consulting with nuns. She's not sitting home and journaling. She's not lighting candles, knitting sweaters, and quote unquote working on herself. That's the story that men tell themselves because the truth is very uncomfortable. What's usually happening is the movement, exploration, another option entering the picture. Women don't withdraw into solitude the way that men do. They shift their attention. They follow the pull of curiosity and opportunity. Women, listen up, bro. Women don't go into nun mode the same way men go into monk mode. And then almost on schedule, the orbit completes. Whatever she leaned into doesn't work out. The guy disappoints. The fantasy cracks, and all of a sudden your phone lights up with that familiar little nothing of a message where she says, "Hey, stranger." Casual, innocent, as if she didn't disappear, as if you were just temporarily out of range instead of quietly replaced. That text is not affection in any way. It's her probing to see if you are available. Again, it's a check to see if you're still there. It's a check to see if the maybe door is still open. She wants to see if you're still willing to pick up where she left off. Every guy knows what the maybe door is. She might say she needs space. Sometimes that's true. I get it. Most of the time it's not. Space is just a convenient language. It creates distance without her being accountable to you. It allows her to keep you in reserve while she explores elsewhere. If a woman genuinely values you, she doesn't put you on ice while she goes out window shopping for the next best deal. The mistake that men make is waiting while she's gone. Put your life on hold. Holding emotional real estate open for someone who already emotionally moved out. If she pulls away, let her go. No chasing, no speeches, no pretending that you don't see what's happening. If she circles back, she doesn't meet the same man again. She meets a man who kept moving and who is stronger. So let me remind you, you are not a placeholder for her. You are not an emotional safety net or her emotional tampon. You are not her backup plan. When you internalize that little "hey stranger" text loses all its power and your life gets very quiet in the best possible way. Essay number 3, called "The Pullback and How to Deal with It." Now, I saved the best for last because I've been working on this for about 3 days. Actually, since, I don't know, maybe Sunday night was the first time I thought of this topic. And I was talking to, in the past, for many years now, I've called it relationship PTSD. And that's too broad. I'm talking about kind of PTSD or trauma response that you get. Now, you got to realize, I'm talking like a therapist now. I am a certified advanced grief and loss therapist, so I know this topic like the back of my hand. How do you feel when you've been cheated on, or you find out she's been talking to someone else, blah, blah, blah? And I came up with a concept I call loyalty exploitation trauma, LET. I had to come up with a fancy phrase. I had to come up with the letters LET because I don't want to say loyalty exploitation trauma all the time. When a woman exploits your loyalty, it could be betrayal syndrome or something like that. I didn't want to get too fancy with the title. But LET, loyalty exploitation trauma, is the psychological and nervous system injury that occurs when a man's commitment, protection, and provision and emotional investment are leveraged against him, while the partner, the wife, the girlfriend, operates in deception and her loyalty is divided. The trauma is not about infidelity itself, but the delayed realization that his loyalty enabled his own harm. You play a role in your own pain. Here's the symptoms of LET. Exploited by a woman. Someone says, well, just move on. Well, guess what? Just moving on doesn't work. Here's the symptoms. New women trigger old reactions. That's why I say if you're in a relationship, never make a new woman pay for the sins of past relationships. Good men get guarded all the time. Good men get guarded all the time. Why is that? How to heal without becoming bitter. How to spot loyalty extractors early on. These are all topics regarding LET. Loyalty, exploitation, trauma. There are stages of this, and men, they move through these stages whether they realize they have the language for it or not. The first stage is loyalty investment. This is where a man shows up fully. He commits, he protects, he provides, he prioritizes. He assumes, and it could be stupid of him, he assumes mutuality. He assumes that everything's going to be reciprocated. And this is closely related to the first editorial that I did. He believes that the rules are shared. His loyalty is clean, forward-facing, unquestioned. The second stage is anomaly detection. Something is wrong. Small things feel off. There's a little shift of energy. Her stories don't quite line up. Intimacy feels kind of conditional. His gut, inside his heart, he feels it in his body. It's whispering, but he overrides it because he's loyal. He resists a suspicious spirit. The third stage of LET is loyalty suppression. This is the most damaging phase. He gaslights himself. He minimizes concerns. He gives more to stabilize what feels unstable. His loyalty becomes the mechanism that keeps him blind. The fourth stage is a reality abandonment. His nervous system is in shock now. Time distorts. Not hearing from her for a day feels like a month. Time is distorted. His memory is fragmented. He's in kind of a fight or flight condition. The fifth stage is an aftermath hypervigilance, where he's no longer naive, but he's not fully integrated and healed yet. His body remembers what his mind wishes it could forget. You got to remember, the body keeps the score. Let me say it again. The body keeps the score. You think you're getting her out of your head. Good luck with that. Just the mention of her name or her picture, or going back over videos and pictures and emails and texts, you feel it in your body. You feel that nervousness, that despair. He scans, he tests, he withholds, he stays guarded, and this is the point where men get stuck. The final stage, if he does the work, is kind of an integrated discernment. His loyalty returns, but it's very selective. Many men end relationships or become the recipient of an ended relationship, and they say, never fucking again. I'm done with women. And there's men who end up being like the MGTOW brothers, men going their own way, that say, never again. I'm done. I was married twice. I'm done. There will not be a third time. I was married 3 times. There won't be a fourth. Or if you got burnt really bad, you just say never again, period. I'm done with women. Or the other thing is, all right, I'm done giving my heart. I will just be a fuckboy from here on out. Women don't deserve anything except to be fucked. That is it. I'm never going to commit. I'm never going to get intimate. There's plenty of women out there that I could just enjoy physically, but I will never, ever commit to another again. Now, here's the diagnostic. If you notice a sudden spike of anxiety when a woman's behavior changes, if your body reacts before your mind can rationalize, if you replay conversations looking for hidden meanings, you look at her text and you think like, well, what did she really mean by that? And you start psychoanalyzing. That can be trouble. You fear nobody, but sometimes you feel like you have no choice. If you don't miss her, but mourn who you were before her, you are not damaged. Breakups change you. Divorce changes you. The body keeps the score. Now, if it was a fight and you both split up and you both hate each other equally, that's one thing. But, sir, if she was the one that left you while you still loved her, just her picture, the mention of her name, the thought of her is going to create feelings in your body. And I'm not a big nervous system guy. You know that. I poke fun at so many people that talk about the nervous system. That's a popular thing right now. To me, that's like almost like attachment theory, which has come and gone. But your body learned that loyalty once came with consequences, and it adapted. Men don't realize the deepest injury of being cheated on has nothing to do with sex. You hear me? Being cheated on has nothing to do with, like, how you feel has nothing to do with sex. It has to do with loyalty being used against them. When a man commits, he commits forward. Hey, find a man that's committed, ladies, any ladies in the chat. If you find a man that is committed, hang on to him. You got a good man. I'll tell you why he's a good man. Because he protects what he chooses. But when that loyalty is exploited by someone operating in deception, the injury doesn't end when the relationship ends. Let me say that again. When loyalty is quietly exploited by someone operating in deception, the injury doesn't end when the relationship ends. It takes residence in your body. The very traits that made you honorable were traits that allowed you to be harmed. Doesn't that suck? You make yourself vulnerable, and then someone squashes you, and you're like, fuck, man, never, here I go again, never fucking again. And then you start blaming yourself for the situation that you're in. But is that a bad thing? You don't lose the ability to love. You lose the ability to love blindly, which most of you have done. And unless that distinction is understood, you're either going to put armor around yourself, be impermeable, or you're going to be bleeding all over every woman you ever meet in the future, making yourself all vulnerable again. So, how do you inoculate yourself against loyalty exploitation? Being suspicious is not a good strategy. Suspicion makes you small, defensive, and reactive. You don't give loyalty before reality has been established. The goal is not to withhold your best traits. The goal is to deploy them last, not first. That's why you save best for a beloved wife or the beloved lifelong companion. Mere girlfriends do not get the best that you have to offer. They have to earn it. Loyalty is a response to demonstrated behavior over a period of time. A man who gives loyalty too early is not romantic. He's unsecured. early intensity, fast bonding, future talk, sexual access, emotional disclosure. These are not all green lights. They are neutral at best. Loyalty begins only after consistency has been observed under mild stress, mild disagreement, and mild inconvenience. If she has never been disappointed by you, you have no data to work with. If you've never disappointed or angered a woman, you haven't lived. The second principle is asymmetry awareness. There's asymmetry. Something's off. One person's giving more than another. One person's taking more than the other. Early in a relationship, there's no equal investments because you try to match their energy. If you get love bombed and you love bomb back, you're in for a sorry ending. Don't match her energy. Don't match her words, her pace, or emotional openness too quickly. Never do that. Watch what she does when she doesn't get her way. That right there is going to tell you everything you need to know. Observe how she handles waiting, uncertainty, you creating boundaries, rules, expectations. How does she react when you tell her what your expectations are? Or better yet, if she doesn't know what your expectations are, she will continue to step on your boundaries. So a woman who gets loyalty from you without offering peace and respect and consistency is a very calibrated woman. She knows what she's doing. Refer back to editorial number 1. You overgave. Raise your hand if you ever overgave. Let me see your hands. Did you ever overgive in a relationship? Third principle is behavioral over just verbal. Words are cheap. Reassurance is cheap. Most women can cry on cue. And the woman who exploits your loyalty is usually fluent in reassurance and words and tears. They're inconsistent with action. Inoculation means you believe the patterns, not the promises. Why? Because you are a pattern recognition expert. Do not reward apologies. You reward corrected behavior, sustained over time. And we talked about this in the teaching yesterday. The proper apology is this: I'm sorry. I was wrong. It won't happen again. And then changed behavior over a period of time. That door swings in both directions. That's not just for women. That's for men. I'm sorry. I was wrong. It won't happen again. Or with guys, I'll do my best to not have that happen again. The fourth principle is internal authority. Now, this is real critical. A man who is vulnerable to loyalty exploitation he outsourced his judgment. He didn't listen to his body. Remember, the body keeps the score. He believed her interpretation of events over his own perception. Inoculation means reclaiming the interpretive authority. Only you know what you are feeling. If something feels off, don't argue yourself out of it. Slow down, reduce the investment, pull back a little bit, gather data. You don't need to accuse, you don't need to prove anything. Distance is information. You hear that? Distance is information. What she does when she doesn't get her way is important for you to log, to observe, to record. What she does when there's distance between you, you need to listen to, observe, record. Loyalty is a privilege. You earn people's loyalty. They earn your loyalty. Loyalty cannot purchase security. A lot of guys will just give more, hoping that it's going to stabilize her, anchor her, inspire reciprocity, nicer hotel, nicer dinners, nicer cruises. You can't buy a woman. How many men here have ever tried doing nice things for a woman only to get it thrown back in your face, not mirrored, not reciprocated, and you feel that it was a one-way relationship? A man settles where he has peace. Been telling you that for 10 years. That's the metric right there, my brother. Sexual attraction is going to fade. Let's get real. Charm is going to fade. Let's get real. Chemistry is going to fluctuate. Let's get real. Peace does not lie. If your body is constantly lit up and activated, if you feel like you're managing the relationship instead of living in it, your body is telling you the truth faster than your ego wants to hear it. The right woman does not require surveillance. She doesn't require monitoring. She can be trusted. You can turn your back on her. Your body is keeping score. Inoculation against loyalty exploitation, in other words, getting used, it doesn't make you cold. It makes you precise. It helps you to love deeper without bleeding to death. It lets you remain loyal without being exploitable. The man who learns this does not become bitter, he becomes selective. And that's not trauma, that's wisdom earned the hard way. So I'll end this by talking about the Loyalty Manifesto. And this is for anyone who has felt the trauma from loyalty exploitation. You feel you got used. Here's the manifesto. I will not give loyalty before reality, intimacy before consistency, or commitment before she proves herself. I will observe her behavior over time, not just her words in the moment. I will trust what I feel in my body without becoming paranoid, and I will slow down instead of over-investing if something feels off. Don't keep investing. It's like throwing gas on a fire. Something's a little bit off, spend a little more money on her, take her on a different vacation. Bigger, more, shinier. Stop that, gentlemen. Stop it. Loyalty is not something that you use to earn love or secure attachment. It is a privilege. It is a privilege that's granted after peace, alignment, respect have been demonstrated to you. You will not be loyal to a woman who does not bring you peace. You will not argue yourself out of your instincts. Stop negotiating against your own well-being. Don't ever mistake chemistry for trust and peace. Most penises and vaginas can get along pretty damn well. That does not mean you're going to have peace. So in the future, choose discernment, boundaries. Your loyalty remains intact, but is not freely accessible. Your loyalty must be earned. You don't give loyalty until there's peace and respect. And don't mistake chemistry for peace. That's the last editorial of the night. If you want to talk about it, let's do it. We got a few minutes. I wrote those things today. I was writing the last one for about 3 days now. Let me get your initial thoughts. Anything that I said that might stand out in your mind. Arguing out of your instincts. Yeah. Yeah, Jessica, that's right. That is a good one. Chemistry implies volatility. I don't trust chemistry in relationships. Yep. Chemistry does not mean peace. Two people can get along sexually pretty well. Sexually, telling you, in the bedroom, sex is a great thing, especially if you've been single for a while. You've learned to separate it from emotions. It's not supposed to be that way, but unfortunately, that's how it is for the majority of us. But sexual chemistry does not mean peace. You get along well in the bedroom, but you're arguing in the car, in the living room, in the kitchen. Michael Paul says, stay away from the maybe door. Yeah, close the maybe door. There's no more disrupting text than the one from a person who says, hey, stranger. When you get the hey, stranger text from a woman, she's checking to see if the maybe door is still open. Every man I know gets a hey, stranger text every now and then. And my experience is they all circle back somehow, some way, somewhere. How many hit and runs do you have to have with somebody before you say enough is enough? Think about that. And you don't want to be a dick about it. You know, if she says, yeah, new phone, who dis? Exactly. If she says, hey, stranger, your response should be, what's the matter? The new guy didn't work out? Don't let the door hit you in the ass, lady. Absolutely. I think the overwhelming star of tonight's show is the concept of genuine burning desire, identifying it. And the other one is don't mistake sexual chemistry for peace. Powerful concepts. Yeah, Masonic Trucker says, making countless mistakes. When it started affecting my health, I realized I have to judge a woman by her actions regardless of her words. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's almost like they have a spell, cast a spell on you. You got to break the spell, right? I say that, is it actually a real spell? No. But it seems like that some women will have a grip on you that you just can't shake. And you always think about her. Remember what I said about you don't miss her. Someone repeat, I'm not going to, all right. You don't miss her, you miss fill in the blank. You tell me. Remember my little riff on that? You don't miss the blank, but you miss the blank. Put that in the chat. I'm making you work for, there we go. Yes. You miss the hardware, not the software, not the operating system. Absolutely. You can still picture her ass, her breasts, her hips. You can still picture her, and you romanticize it. You don't miss the operating system. Trauma bonds and trauma loops, that's the spell. Intermittent reinforcement, treating you good. Makes one wait for the next time she's nice. Miss the floppy disk. That's funny. That is funny. Peg, good to see you. Clea, I didn't even know you're here. I didn't see you in the chat. Oh, there's Thea. Hey there. I asked ChatGPT to turn me into the wizard that I usually use. Instead of holding a ball of fire, I said, make me holding a cup of hot coffee. So there's me as a wizard. Thea was here the whole time. Okay, cool. Cool. The all-seeing coffee mug. Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. I probably will keep this broadcast up. I probably will keep the broadcast up. Yeah. Josh Westbrook says, buddy of mine just went through a divorce and lost it all. $5 million house, everything. I sent him to your channel immediately. Yeah, man. Excellent. I get the guys sometimes the very day that the marriage ends. You got to realize I get 70 to 100 messages every day. Been that way for about maybe 7 or 8 years now. For those of you that think that I'm just like a YouTuber that comes on every now and then talking about this stuff, 70 to 100 messages a day. How do you even begin to deal with that? When am I writing a book? Well, I just finished the book. I have so many manuscripts I have so many manuscripts. I just finished writing the 3-minute hug. Wait till you read that one. A great man once said, date long, marry slow, divorce fast. Absolutely. Paul said, thanks for keeping me company during my ruck. Just got in. You're spot on tonight. A lot to think about before the weekend. Yep, 100%. So I finished the book, the 3-minute hug, and I can't wait to put that out. I can't wait to put that out. Let me put it this way. I've been writing this way on YouTube for 10 years. I've been on YouTube now. Next month, it'll be 10 years. What I've been doing is writing these essays. I used to type these with a typewriter. You guys remember typewriters? I would type them with a typewriter, 3 or 4 pages, and then make copies and then give them to my friends. This is pre-internet. This is pre-everybody having a laptop or a computer in their home. And those damn Xeroxed essays are collector's items, if anyone still has them. And then I used to write, I took those things and I started writing for a newspaper. I did a column in a newspaper. And some of those things have ended up here. Some of those ended up in, the book that I had, I wrote a book which was a collection of essays called It Smelled Like 6 O'Clock. It Smelled Like 6 O'Clock. That was the name of the book. It's a weird name, but if you actually read the story, you know exactly what it meant. And I'll give you a quick synopsis of what that was. When I grew up, men would have dinner 5:15, 5:30. When they were done, I don't know where you were, but I lived in a pretty tight, physically close neighborhood, and all the fathers would go out, sit on their front stoop, and light up a cigar. And you could look at your watch, and you knew it was 6 o'clock. You look to the left, all the way down the block, there's the dads sitting on their front stoops, smoking a cigar. You look down the right side, there's all the dads sitting on the step, or as we called it, a stoop. How trippy is that? That was the name of the essay called It Smelled Like 6 O'Clock. Watcher says, George, that counsel saved my life. I dated her for 3 years, married at 3.5 years, filed for divorce last Friday. That was less than a week after her tantrum, where she was physically aggressive. Yeah, there's no room for physical aggressiveness. There's no room for violence. No room. You got to just walk away. You got to walk. That's why I tell men all the time, you've heard me say this, keep your mouth shut, keep your hands in your pockets. Even Mandelbaum said that once. Keep your mouth shut, keep your hands in your pockets. Can you imagine me writing this for a newspaper? That newspaper received so many complaints, and they received a lot of compliments. But they were happy that I was writing it because it actually created a response. Yeah, this broadcast will stay up tonight. Holy cow, it's 60 degrees in here right now. That feels good. Yeah, violence is not an option. That's not an option. NJ Prepper, member for 19 months. That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's not an option for her. And if you feel it's an option for you, you need to walk away. You need to walk. But the book, 3-Minute Hug, I just need to do my editing. The book is already written. The book is all. Did you ever do a 3-minute hug with anyone? A 3-minute, if you know how like when you hug somebody, when you greet someone, you give them a quick hug, like a little side hug or something like that. Can you imagine like you're away for a couple days and you see your sweetheart and you hug each other, you wrap your arms around each other for how long? 5 seconds, maybe at the most. Can you imagine doing that? Can you imagine doing that for 3 minutes? A 3-minute hug feels like 3 hours. It feels like it's never ending. Now, you're not doing 3-minute hugs with your neighbor. You're not doing it with your bro. You're doing it with your wife or you're doing it with your girlfriend. A 3-minute hug. And the ladies that are on, talk your man into doing a 3-minute hug. Even if you have to set a timer on your phone, what's going to happen is it's going to feel really uncomfortable after 30 seconds. Because nobody does it. And sometimes you kind of need to shift while you're doing it. But you don't lose the embrace. What happens during a 3-minute hug? Breathing synchronizes. Heartbeats synchronize. You'll feel her chest going in and out as she's breathing. You'll start to share warmth. It's crazy. Wait till you read the book. It'll blow your mind. It will blow your mind. And it releases, this is going to sound a little woo-woo, but I'm not, you guys know me, I'm not woo-woo at all. It releases trauma. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? It releases trauma. That is why I wrote the essay, the editorial called Loyalty, Exploitation, Trauma. People who did you wrong don't want to hug you. Think about that. People who did you wrong don't want to hug you. People who are interested in healing will do a 3-minute hug. And don't mistake or confuse that hug with something sexual. It's got nothing to do with sexuality. Nothing. A 3-minute hug starts to release trauma because the body keeps the score. Your body is harboring trauma. Rejection, pain, divorce. Do you ever say to yourself, man, did you ever just cry? And it was like this strangely disproportionate thing, like you are listening to a song or you read something or you watch a movie trailer and then you get tearful and you don't want anyone to know that you're crying, that loosened up a log jam. The movie trailer or the song didn't do it. That pain and that trauma was just waiting to be released. That's what a 3-minute hug does. Don't be surprised if during a 3-minute hug, you get emotional. Sounds weird, man. Sounds weird, especially for a guy like me to say that. Gentlemen, don't be surprised if your woman, when you're done with the 3-minute hug and you back away from each other and you look at her, don't be surprised if you see tears in her eyes. And don't worry, it's not you that made her cry. I'm about due for a 3-minute hug. I do believe Christ can help heal trauma. I do. I do believe that. Yesterday's editorial, where I was reviewing Rich Cooper's book, Top Shelf Man. Gosh, that was a 2-hour broadcast. I kept that up too. Can you imagine that? That was actually a very focused, and I'm usually all over the place when I do live broadcasts. I'm usually like responding to everybody in the chat. When I have something to teach, I get through it. Everything will eventually end up in some kind of conglomeration, some anthology of some type. I've written stories about every relationship I ever had, like intimate stories. Pretty interesting. There is a woman who I catch every now and then on YouTube. Her name is Jasmine from Mountain Dispatch. And she kind of triggers me a little bit. So I got to like limit when I watch her, because she reminds me of somebody and reminds me of certain people. But she talks a lot about that kind of stuff. Well, this was fun. A short broadcast, about an hour and 15 minutes. It wasn't bad. And everybody learned something. And keep in mind, gentlemen, go to your sweetheart, set the timer on your phone and do a 3-minute hug. Oh, we have a little question here. Any advice on getting over the girl who slipped away? She pops up my head a lot, even though I know it's over. The body keeps the score, doesn't it? The body keeps the score. Replace her. Create new memories. Add new memories, better memories, and replace her. You are suffering from one-itis. We all do it. It doesn't get any better with time. I am 65 years old, and I still get one-itis. It happens. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you teach. It doesn't matter how hard or masculine you are. Every man fights one-itis. Every single man. I don't even know if it's a woman thing. I think it's a guy thing. I never hear women saying, I can't get them out of my head, because they have so many options. One-itis does suck. It does. And the only thing that helps is time and not feeding the monster. The old song, the only way to get over her is to get under someone else. Yeah. The only way to get over a woman is to get under another. Yeah, I get that. I get that. Jessica says, write down all the things that were bad and wrong about the relationship on your notepad. I still have to read my list about my second husband. Yeah. It keeps you from rewriting history. Thea says, we suffer from it too. It can be a taskmaster beast. Okay. That would be a great topic for like a panel discussion. One-itis. That could be a really, really good topic, Thea. All right, I'm going to keep this up. If you came in late in the broadcast, I did 4 editorials tonight that I wrote this week. I write every day. I write every single day. That's my discipline, is I read and write every day. Jessica says, every once in a while I want to call him. I have to discipline myself. Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. It's difficult. Sounds like it could be a book. All right, have a great night. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll catch you at the next one. Keep an eye on the posts on my YouTube page. That's where I put out ideas, theories, I test things. I used to test things on Twitter and Gab and such, but I find that there's more... people like to argue too much over there, and I'm just not into arguing. I don't mind being challenged. I just don't want to argue because I'm a fighter. It's unfortunately true. I'm a fighter, and I'm angry, and I make no excuses for it. Anger is the best gift my father ever gave me. Helps me get things done. All right, have a great night. I'll keep the comments on. and you can talk amongst one another. Good night.